welcome back to the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show right here in your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
And remember, our goal is always to guide you to personal and financial wellness.
Well, you're back for the final segment of the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show every Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here in your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. And now, FM, that's right, 98.1. So we're twice as good as we were before. And I'm twice as good today because I have an amazing guest, a good friend of mine, confidant, and also somebody I've used in myself, Mr. Jim Reape with the Rickett Law Firm, the top divorce attorneys in town. And we just went over certain ways of how to handle such an emotional and trying situation in preserving the family and handling it with dignity. Believe it or not, you can handle it with dignity, which is better for all parties. And it was a great segment, Jim. And you helped.
Yeah, much appreciated.
You helped a lot of families that way. I know you helped me. You kept the entire thing as dignified as it can be for a very difficult situation. Yeah. And we came to a resolution without spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in court. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. And you're welcome. But no, you had a lot to do with it. Like I said, when somebody listens and they can really understand and say, okay, let me deal with my hurt feelings and my emotions in another way, but guide me through the financial nightmare.
You did help me with that because it was me, you said, keeping my emotions in check and not letting them guide me down the wrong path and be patient. It all worked out.
I put my kids through college based on, clients who just couldn't help but pushing the wrong emotional buttons on their soon-to-be ex.
Yeah, so we won't go there. So now, this is this topic you have to listen to if you are going through a divorce. Somebody going through a divorce and dealing with spousal support, because this is something that we talked about during mine, because it was very important that we figured out how to rectify this situation this year because of the Jobs Act and the new tax bill.
Yeah, that's right. The new tax bill, while it's promoted as being a tax cut for those people that will be going through a divorce and there's disparity in income that would give rise to potential spousal support or alimony, under the old rules, the spouse who was paying the support would get a tax deduction right there on page 1, before itemized or anything. It was a good tax deduction
straight off your income,
and the support that would be payable would be taxable income to the spouse who was receiving it. The savings is recognized because, again, alimony exists where there's a significant disparity in income, and so the higher earning spouse is in a higher tax bracket. So we take those monies that are being taxed at the higher rate, transfer them to somebody who's in a lower tax bracket, and as a result, there's tax savings. And that allows a family that is suffering the financial hardship of moving from, a one household model to a two household model, which is a big deal because most people in Southern California live on, I've heard, 80 to 130% of what they make. Out here in Santa Clarita, have a couple of kids, maybe have a couple of $100,000 a year worth of income. I'm pretty certain by the time that they come into my office, they've got nothing other than maybe some equity in a house and some money in a retirement account.
Correct.
That's it. That's just the way that it is. So under the new act, now spousal support is not going to be tax deductible, and the receiving spouse is not going to have to pay income tax. So let's say you're the receiving spouse. You may say, hey, that sounds like it's good for me.
Sure.
But the answer is no, because it's not going to be deductible by the spouse who's paying it. So all of the models that I've run, and my expectation is going to be that the person who needs the support to maintain themselves is going to wind up with less spendable income, despite the fact that they're not paying taxes on it. So the paying spouse will pay less, but it will cost more. The receiving spouse will receive less, and receive less spendable income. Real reason they did it is, they analyzed that, believe it or not, there were a lot more people taking the deductions than, fessing up for, reporting the income.
Right.
Then again, there's a large portion of the country that is not obligated to pay any type of federal taxes, and they could have been. So it could be all legitimate, and they just chose not to file because exactly
they felt it wouldn't. Anyways.
Yeah. So where we are right now is this all ends come December 31st, 2018. Okay, so here's the reality. Los Angeles is the largest court system in the world. So if you want your papers entered by December 31, 2018, the presiding judge has come to us and said, then they better be in the courthouse by September 1, 2018, and I pledge we'll put enough people on the job to get these judgments processed. So now's the time. Now is the time to be in those negotiations.
I bet you're really busy right now.
Exceedingly busy, because even in the cases that are going to take a little bit more time, let's say we have businesses that have to be valued, we have other issues that we have to work out. It's please, let's talk about this. Let's consider, putting together a judgment, reserving on all the other issues, but let's get a judge's signature on the so-called permanent or judgment spousal support so that the family doesn't lose the benefit of the tax savings. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a whole different ball game pretty soon.
I know it helped motivate me to make sure we got this done this year.
Absolutely, and I use it in a lot of cases that once they understand, particularly somebody who's going to be receiving the support, that they're going to have less, then they have every reason to engage. That's part of reaching out and being fair, saying, hey, we've got a mutual problem. We could be saving, and in some cases, this is big money savings when you're transferring through the tax brackets. It's thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars a year. Mm-hmm. And hey, that makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. So you're insane if you're not looking at this realistically and trying to get that part of it resolved. Because again, every model that I've run looking at it, both sides are losers unless they can get this thing done now.
All right. Well, and more sound advice. And if you're looking for great advice, somebody with great humility and dignity and helping you through a very challenging situation called divorce, I pledge for Jim Reape, and his team there is amazing. How can they get a hold of you guys?
Locally, 661-288-1000. Find us anywhere on the internet, divorcedigest.com. And pretty much, if you find yourself in the situation, you ask around enough, somebody will remind you.
So the Rickett Law Firm, again, Jim Reape, thank you for being part of my show and being a great friend and helping me through a challenging situation myself. And I'm so glad. And
it's over.
And so is the show. So thank you for being here every Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. You can find out more or review these shows by going to their hometownstation.com or donandgino.com. Have a great weekend.